Hi everyone. In this video we will build a modern project structure having routes, models, schemas, core, services, controllers like these things. I am also explaining a little bit about which we are going to create. We are going to create a simple website having dashboards like this, forms, Stripe integration, PayPal integration, PDF printing, XML, CSV. We are going to integrate all these things here. Like these are working things we have created already. Stripe integration integrated. We have created simple forms for it. We will create all these things. We also set up a FastAPI two-step verification methods, phone verification, Google Authenticator. We will add both in our new application. We will create first of all from our CRUD register API, then we will go to next side. Now let's start by explaining advanced folder structure for our new FastAPI project. Here FastAPI project name, then there would be app folder, test folder, environment file, pip file, readme, requirements.txt file. In app folder there would be a subfolders like auth folder, config folder, constant, controllers, cores, database, and a main file of Python. In this folder we will define here, and in controllers we will use version 1, version 2, which version we are going to update or install, and router for our routes. We are going to create our new application according to this advanced structure. Now let's go towards FastAPI advanced project structure. Let's create a new folder, advanced. In this folder we will create a simple app folder, and we will open this in Visual Studio. Here we will create a requirements file, and in app folder we will create new folder. First of all auth, second one would be constants, it should be in app folder, controllers, next would be database folder. In this folder we will define our modules, main files. Like in controllers we will define our version 1, and we will define our main file, router.py. In version 1 we will define our first user controller .py. In core we will define our manager, where we will put all our conditions, user manager .py. And in database, where we will connect our database to MongoDB or MySQL, here we will define user database .py. In constant file we will define our constant part 1 is project initialization and structure setup. This is our structure folder, and in our requirements file FastAPI we can exist already. We will add our requirements that we have to enter here. We will update requirements file, and we will install requirements. Pip env shell to activate our environment. Our environment already activated. Now we will install it. Pip env run pip install. These are requirements.txt. Now we are going to a strong backend developer soon. Now our requirements installed. Now we are going to part 2, environment and configuration setup. We will open environment file. In this we will set up our MongoDB URL and our project names. Suppose we have MongoDB. If you have not, then install it please, MongoDB campus. Here I have already installed, and here are links of MongoDB URL connections. I am going to set a MongoDB URL link. MongoDB const string. I'm going to copy that and enter here. This is local URL MongoDB campus, and I am going to give a database name. I am giving it real world development. Now I am going to create a config file. If I have not created already, I have created already. I am going to add config file for our environment configuration. I will enter here our project name. I am going to zoom it to show it clear. I think it's not looking good. Now I am importing our MongoDB constant and MongoDB database name. I am importing config from decouple. Here config I will copy it, paste it, MongoDB database name. It, paste it here. Now our .env file setup, and we have set up our config file. Now we are going to integrate our database, MongoDB integration with Motor. Let's create database. Import Sync. We are going to import MongoDB database name and constant from config from app.config.config import database name and MongoDB constant from motor new import assign motor client. Second one. Now we are going to create a class authentication database. Class always start from big name, capital name, and here we are going to create a connection between motor and MongoDB, between our code and MongoDB. Client async motor into our MongoDB constant. Now we are going to create a client loop. Get IO loop. Thank you. Start get running loop. Now we are going to give our database name where we are going to save our database. Suppose our collection name is, here we put database name where we are going to save, and here we are going to give auth user. Suppose we are going a collection auth user. Now our connection created successfully. Now we are going to create two methods to store database and get database. Suppose we are using async method. For async database, define a function. Suppose we are register function where we are getting some payload, and we first convert the payload to JSON encoder. Document JSON-able encoder into payload. It's imported from FastAPI encoder. Then we will write our await function. Self dot auth user collection dot insert one or insert many. We are using insert one, and here we will put our document in it, and here we will return our document. By this function we are inserting our data to MongoDB. We are also writing a function to get database. We will write this by where clause. Sync will use simple define function. Get by where clause. Self where clause. Self get find one. We will use find one. by where clause, in which where clause condition matches, it will get the data. Now our database configuration is completed. So we are starting from our model, user registration model. Then we will start to controller. First we are importing some packages from FastAPI camel case and Pydantic. From FastAPI camel case, import camel model. From Pydantic, import email string. And from typing, we are importing optional. Let's create a class name register, and here we are giving camel model, which converts snake case to camel case. For here we are giving first name, which would be string, last name, which should be also a string, email, which should be email string, which we have imported from Pydantic, and time zone, that would be optional and should be a string. Now we will create our controller, user controller. First we will import some modules like in model from FastAPI dot responses, import JSON response. From FastAPI utils, dot inferring router, import inferring router. From FastAPI CBC, FastAPI utils dot CBC, CPV import CBV. From FastAPI, import status. From request async, dot exception, import connection error as connection exception. Its first name should be a capital name. From models, we will also import register from app.models.user register, import register, and after it we will define our router, user router, inferring router. We have defined our router here. Then we will use our router using CPV user router. And here we will create a class that we will use for all the methods like create, post, update, get, delete. We will write all the methods in this class user controller and we will start our init function in it, and we will call our manager where we will put all the conditions. Suppose self dot user manager underscore manager to, we are going to here give any constant for now. When we will create this, then we will give it a num. Now we are going to create our first method, user controller user router dot post, and here we will give our first router name register. This is post request, and register our first API name. We will define our async method here. Async define register self and request payload where register. This is payload. And here we will give a API response. I think we have not write a API response yet. We will write this in our constant file. I am going to put it here. I have already created the responses like email already exists or not exists, user already exists. Like these responses will be returned through FastAPI responses. For it, I have created that in common file API response. Now we are going to create a try except function. Try and try function, we are going to call our manager. Response is equal to self dot user manager dot register, or which name we will give it to, and we will send our payload in it. And after this sending this response, we will get a response from manager and MongoDB where data already exists or not exist or created successfully. Then we will receive this response. If it has message in response, then we will going to send two responses of FastAPI. One is email already exists. If email will be already exist in it, mean user already registered with this email, then we will return this email. Otherwise, we will send a successful response that user have successfully. We will copy this and return this response in 201 responses created. User register successfully. In try we have completed our code, and in exception we will catch our exception. Accept connection exception. Connection exception and we will return a response like this. We will copy this and return this in 500 error code for internal server error. We will write this here, internal server error. We are writing all these messages and all things here now. For future we will write this in constant file. Our constant controller is completed now. Now we have set our control. Now we will create a manager here in core user manager. We will create a class which we will call in controller class user manager. We will start here our init function, and here we will call our database file which we have created already, database register, which is inserting data, and get database. We will write this function class here, self dot user database is equal to authentication, which class name we have put already, authentication data. We will put it here and we will import it. Now we will write our create method using async define register, and in register we are getting two parameter. One is self and second is request payload, which is our register form which we have created already. We will also import it. Now we are going to write our first inserting data like response is equal to await self. We are calling our database user database into our payload. We are now dot register. Now we are calling our register methods and we will return our response. Now our register method is calling here inserting data. Like this, we are calling our database. We will call this from controller also. Like here we have used past, we will use there our database manager class, and we will import it. And here where we have registered already, now you can check that it will call already here. Now our manager function is completed. Only we will put here a condition that if a user already exists, then we will check it. We will use a where clause. We will create a dictionary email equal to payload dot email, because our payload data has these values: first name, last name, email, time zone, and we can check from here. We will use get method that we have already checked email already exists or not. Function self dot user database dot get by where clause and here we will put this where close. If this email already exists, if this already exists, then we will return a message email already exists. If user already exists, then it will return this message, otherwise it will insert a document. Now we have set up our manager. Now we are going to set our routes and router. Suppose we are importing some packages from FastAPI. Import API router, and we will also importing controller here from app dot controller dot v1 dot user controller, import user router, and here we are going to write API version 1 string or 1 underscore str is equal to in string format slash v1, and here we are using router API route. Now we are going to create our first route, router dot include route, and here we are giving user route. Here we give a prefix that its basic URL should be this API v1 string plus slash user, and here we will give a name to our API tags is equal to, because it's user APIs, we will give it a name user. Our router is completed now. Now we are on the last step, our main file. Here we will set up our main file and run the code. We are going to import some packages like from FastAPI, import FastAPI, import UVCon from FastAPI dot middlewares, because we are also adding middlewares here. Import course middleware, and we also adding here our pagination from FastAPI pagination, import add pagination, and from app we are also here config port config, from router from app dot controllers dot routers, import router. We will also add here some description, but later. First we are defining our app FastAPI into title. Title should be, I think we have already given in config file, config.project name. I have set title name already, real world development, and we will also put description of it, but and later. Suppose we are giving description here, real world development advanced course, advanced course. Now we are going to add some middlewares, app dot add middlewares. We are going to add course middleware and allow origin, and here also allow credentials. True. Here there are also two allow methods and allow headers. We will also put this. I have already written this. Now we are going to write include our app dot include router into router, and we are going to add pagination in our app. Almost we have done. We will write some get API like we have put in first video. We will add this in here, get API, get route, real world development. Now we are going to run the code. I think there will be some issue, but we will solve it. Unicon app dot main is equal to app. We are going here port 8200 and we are giving here reload method. There are some issues. We are going to solve these issues. The error is because of Pydantic version. We will update it here. We will set less than 2. It automatically set it. We will install it again. We are at this command. It will install it. Install that, and we will activate our environment again. Now we will run the code. Now it's running, and we have also made small mistake of await function. Here we will add await function in our controller. Similarly, in our manager we will use await function by where clause. These two mistakes we are using. Now we will open it. It will open this real world development API version 0.1. We will open this in docs. Now our code running successfully, and we will send a request to a save data. Suppose first request is Qasim, last name is Khan, and email is realworlddevelopment@gmail.com or something like that. I am just executing it. User registered successfully. Now we are going to check in MongoDB. Localhost real world development database has created successfully, and in there auth user collection is created successfully, and here Qasim Khan user data also saved successfully. Now we send again request to check condition. Email already exists with this name. Suppose we change email. then it will create second data. User registered successfully, and here we will refresh it. Second atom also created here successfully. This was our first API, create API. And next we will go with a flow, because our MongoDB connection created, main file created, all the files are created successfully. In this video we will create get by ID API using FastAPI. If we run this API, then it will returning a response user registered successfully. First of all, we will return a response, not a message. Here we will return a response message. This message we will return in content. And we also change our database file register. Here we will store it in a variable, and we will return a ID from here, ID setted ID. Tell we will delete underscore ID from it, and we convert this into string format because it's object ID. Like I am showing you a database ID, this is object ID. We will convert this into string format and get by this ID data. Suppose we run this code now. We will change email for, no, it's returning a response. Thank you. Now let's start from the controller by creating get by ID API. We will write a new router for get by ID API. User router, and to use /ID. This is our route which we use. We will use async method. Like above we have used this. Simple copy this and paste it here, and here we will pass a ID which would be a string, and give it a name, get by ID. Response, we save it in our we will use await function always. Await self dot auth user, we have user manager, we will call it dot get by ID, and we will pass ID here. This request payload ID we will pass here. Then we will handle its responses. Like we will create a responses of response message. I think we have created already in common method. No, we have not created it. Response message where we will put a success message and false. I have created already. Just copy and paste. You can write it simple. Response message. If we will check it, not is instance response and response message which we have created now. Response and response message. Response message we have created in our API. We will copy this and paste it here. We will import this. If they are not is instance, then we will return 200. return we will return just like this, a message, simple message. We will return this in 200 response, and if it's not, then we will return in 400 bad request or 404 not found, 404. And we will use JSON-able encoder here, JSON-able encoder, JSON-able encoder. We will also use here we will write all these things in try, because we are using here try except. And in exception we will put this code, except connection exception. Now our controller is completed. Now we are going to write our manager, user manager. We will define here async method, async define get by id, and here we will self and id, which would be a string. Here we will convert id string format to object id, because here in MongoDB data we always have object id. To get data from MongoDB we will convert before to object id. We will write a method to change it to object id, but first object id self dot validate id. We will write a function to validate id. We'll pass id in it. I am returning a response. No, for no time. I am going to write a message for validate id function. Define validate id self id should be a string format. We will use try here. id is equal to by object id into id, then we will return id, except exception invalid id, invalid id as e, and we will return a simple message that it is invalid id. I am already returned this message. We will copy and paste it here. Response message, we have written this also. We will import it here from basin dot error import invalid id. Now we are going to write PyObject class in our common Py. I have written this already. We also can copy this class from internet or anything which converts simple string id to PyObject id or simple object id. From this import object id, and our function is completed. Now we will now validate id function is completed. It will convert string format to object id. First of all, if this instance object id add response message, object id add response message, then we will return response. Which response is coming? We will return object id here, else here we have get object id which is object to get a data from database. Now we are going to write a where close method and where close dictionary. Where close is equal to create, we will create a dictionary like we have underscore id in string format, underscore id is equal to object id, this one. And we have already written where close method here, get by where close. We will copy this and we will paste it here. We also give name it to response. Response. We will also return a message. If data not found, then we will return a message. We will copy it from here, or we can return a response message which I have written already. Response message success is false and user with id was not found. Now our manager is almost completed and we are getting data from database by where close method. Now we will go to controller and here, oh sorry, we have forget to use here get. And we will refresh our code. We will use command uvcon app.main app port 8300 and reload. Now it's working fine. Now we will open our docs. I am going to refresh it and it's now refreshed. Let's create a new data. Qasim Khan and users 5. Let's create a new data and we have get a id from here. We will open it, try it out, and we will execute data from here. Let's give us a error. Let's check the error. Object id is not iterable. The id which we are getting from here, response id equal to string. We will convert this into string format underscore id and we will tell underscore id from object and then return it. Now we will run the code again. Now our data returning successfully. Qasim Khan user 5, it's returning successfully. If we give here a wrong id, then user with id not found. it's returning successful. Now our get by id is completed. Now we are going to create a delete API which we are used to delete data. Here we have already written router. We will copy this, we'll paste it here, we'll give it a name delete, and delete by id we will give a function name delete by id. We will use id also here. Now we will use a try except function like we have written before, try. Similarly we will store our data and response, await function self dot user manager, and dot delete by id API. We will write function also there, and we will pass function id here, only id. Similarly, if response dot success is equal to true, we only can write if success response dot success, it means it's true. Then we will return a JSON-able response like this. We will return in 200, and if it's not found, then we will give here 404 http 404, like we mostly give a success response in 204 and in 204 content not found, and we will add exception next. Now our controller is completed. Now we will go towards user manager. We will create there a function name delete by id. We create this here. Sync define delete by id self, and id should be a string. We will convert this into ObjectId first. We have converted this to ObjectId, and we will call a database delete response is equal to, we will call a database function await self dot user database dot delete by id, and here we will pass our id. Now first we will write our database function. Now we are going to write a database. We will write a simple async define, sync define delete by id to self id is equal to ObjectId, and we will simple pass it here for now, and here we will write our delete function return self. I think I should use await function here, await self dot auth user collection dot delete delete many and delete one. We will use delete one, and here we will pass our object id into dictionary format. Underscore id is equal to id. Now we have passed our function delete by id, and we have write our manager also minimum on minimum level. We will update it. If response dot delete count is equal to 0, then we will return that user not found with this id. Response message, user with id was not found. Otherwise we will return that. Here we will return, we'll copy this and paste it here. We will give it true, and user with id successfully deleted. Successfully deleted. Now our manager also completed, our controller completed, and our database file also completed here. Now we will run the code from here. We will refresh it, and there is a database call. Now we will copy id from database. We are not going to create a new data. I think we should create a new data. User 6, and here is user 6, and here is its id. Now I am going to delete data. User with id not found. I think there is an issue in code. And here is id. We are passing simple string id. That's why it's not found. We will pass here object id. We will refresh it, and now we will check your database like this id. We'll copy this, or simple we can create from here user 6. We'll copy this id and paste it here. User with id successfully deleted. This id deleted. We'll check it here, get by id. User with id not found. We will create it again, and new user created. We will get this, and its response get it. Our delete API is completed now, and now we are going to update by id API. Let's start from controller, and here is delete API. We will copy this API. Simple, we will copy this controller, and we will paste it here. We will change delete to put API, and we will id will remain same, and here its name will be update by id. And here we will change update by id. Here we will take a request payload, or simple we can say it payload should be register that we already created. This one, that first name, last name, email, time zone, which user wants to change, he can change it. Now our controller is completed. We will create a manager class function. Let's start from here. Async define a method update by id. Here we will get id self. Id should be a string. and a request payload which is a register. First we will check object id. Simple convert id to object id. Let's take this function from here. We have, and now we will use a where clause data is equal to simple underscore id is equal to object id, that is this. First of all, we will get before data by where clause use method. We will copy this function from here, and if it's already exist, then we will match its id. If response already exists, then we will convert, check if response score id is equal to this one id. We will convert this to string format, str. We only can use this, but no, we will pass it. If it's equal, then we will use a update function. Updated data is equal to await self dot user database dot update by id function. And in update by id function, we will pass object id, this one, and our payload, this one. Suppose let's create database update function. Async define update by id, and here we will write first one would be id and second one would be a payload. Here we will first convert this payload to JSONable encoder, because we always save in MongoDB data in JSON format, like last name underscore finished and first capital name, last name, similarly first name. This is because of JSONable encoder. Here we will use document is equal to JSONable encoder and payload. Now we will call our database function. Result is equal to await self dot user auth user database auth user collection, and to first we will call underscore id is equal to id, and here we will put a set method dollar set of updated response JSONable document here, and we will return a result return result. Now our database function is completed. If updated data dot matched count underscore count is greater than 0, then this payload, we will return this payload data return is equal to just enable encoder and to payload and data return to id is equal to this one id. We can simply write any id and we will return this data return. If it's not greater than 0, then we will return simple response message. If this id is not matched, then user not found with this data. User not found with this id. Now we will run the code and check if it's updated successfully or not. Let's check from the controller. Now we will refresh our docs and here is FastAPI. Suppose we are going to create a new user name is 8 and string. We created a data whose id is this and user 8. We will change this data with this id. We'll change this Qasim Khan. We can also check from database that here are 7 results and last one is string and user 8. Now we are going to update it and it's give us some error. Now we are going to check the error. What is not method on motor. Oh sorry, I think we forgot to write method. Yes, here dot update 1. Let me check the code. We're close and success. Here we will also change the response message. We'll copy it from here. We will paste it here. Now we will run the code again. No code is updated. Suppose we are going to update Qasim and other things remain same like this. It's updating the code. And here are total 7 and it's changing. Khan, it's updating, and in database our result is updating. Now our updated API is also completed. Now we are going to create Catalyst API. Let's start from coding. Here we have created our controller. Now we will write our router of Catalyst API. Let's start from user router. Get. Here we will define our routes. Slash here. Async. We'll define our method. Get list. And in our method we will pass search query, ascending descending order, order direction, page, size, like this thing. Let's start by creating search query. Should be a string value, and we will pass an empty value in it. Second one would be order by, in which order direction we will pass in it. It would be string2, and here we will pass on the base of which direction we will pass. Suppose we are taking name here. Next one would be order direction, mean ascending order, descending order, order we are going to use. Order direction should also be a string, and here we will pass ascending. Next one we will take our page size. It would be integer format, int, and here we will pass query, which we will import from FastAPI. We'll pass default value, should be 1, and it should be greater than equal to 1. Then we will pass size here. It should also our integer format, and we will pass query here also. Its default value should be minimum 50, and we will pass here greater than equal to 1 and less than equal to 100. We pass our query parameters. Now we will define our try except methods. In try method we will pass all these query parameters in one params. We will make a dictionary. In params we will write search query. Its value should be similarly order by, and its value should be order by. Next one would be order direction. And here we will take its value. Next one would be page, and here we will take page, and last one is size. Value is size. Now our params is almost completed. Now we will write our function response self dot user manager dot get list, and we will pass our params in it. This function will return a response, which we will return as a response 200 response. Here we will pass it and we will return simple this response in 200. And in exception we will copy this function exception and we will write this in exception. Now our controller is almost completed. We will write our manager, user manager. Here let's start a function, define, we will write this in Async method, define get list, and here we will use self and params. We will use skip here, params page, here we will also check our order direction, set it because we have to give value -1 and 1 for ascending and -1 for descending. If params into order direction is equal to ascending, else we will pass here -1. We will pass order directions params order direction equal to order direction. Similarly, we'll pass skip. Now we will call our database function. Response is equal to await self dot user database dot get list, and here we will pass our params. Simply we will return now this. Now our manager is almost completed. We will add page size here and later. Now we are going to write our database file. Let's start from writing a function from here. Use async, define get list. We will pass self and params in it. Now we will save our total atom in empty list, and from here we are going to write our cursor self dot user collection dot update dot find. It would be find only, and in find we will use from name because we are going to use regex in it. Params search query. Otherwise options. Should be equal to 1. We have return regex for search query. Now we are going to write if condition for if params into search query is equal to empty else we will pass simple empty dictionary here in it. After that we will pass .sort method. Sorting will use params order directions. Order by next would be order direction params into order direction. After order direction we will use skip, and in skip we will use params and skip, and we will use limit in it, and here we will give params and to size. Now our cursor almost completed. Now we are going to define async function. Sync for loop document and cursor, and from here we will return a document where we will append in total atoms dot append our document, and after appending we will return our total atom. Before appending we will convert our underscore id to id. It is str and underscore, and we will delete from document. Now our database almost completed. I think this comma is creating error. It should be inside this. Now our database function is also completed, and here is our manager function. It's also completed, and our controller know it's done, and our application working fine. Now let's check on it. No, our get list API completed. Try it out. Default value, search query, order by order direction, page size, query parameter also working fine, and our default value also coming. We will run this, and there is error. Let's run the code, and we find 500 error, tunnel server error. It's because of order direction in manager file. Here in order direction, oh sorry, we have write out of something that should be there. No, we will run it again. It's again giving us internal server error. No, in database file, user database, search query, let's go towards database, and if params search query. What is the issue in search query? I think it's spelling mistake, search query. Now our database is fine. Now run the code again. Now our data is coming. We have created data that's returning now. We have created this, and we get this in list. Now our get list API is completed, and after that we will go towards Stripe integration and PayPal integration and other features that would be advanced, like fillable PDF printing and other things. Thank you.